So it is Wednesday, the 26th of March, 2025. I am getting ready to go outside and do some yard work. We're about 60 degrees, going up to, I want to say, mid to high 60s today. A few days ago, I was in the vineyard area, as I like to call it, and I think two of my grapes did not survive, two of the three. One, I believe, is the Concord, and the Niagara didn't survive. So I found these at Walmart. I picked them up. One is a red grape, which is the Reliance, and another Niagara, which is the yellow grape. And then I happened to came across this seedless variety, which is a Marquise. So I need to go and do my second treatment of grub control in that back bed and get that. I'm gonna put some weed killer down, some pellets down as well in that area, and then I'm gonna get these planted in a few. So it's about 1:45. I'm finally out here looking at some cleanup options. As you can see, the leaves have blown in this general area and congregated. I want to get those picked up. We've been having crazy weather, like I'm sure many of you have been. These are my elephant ear garlic poking their heads out. I want to, this year I'm going to pull up this tarp and get this soil fertilized and then re-tarp. I still haven't taken down that trellis. I'm working on that. I have since moved my two small beds that served for sweet potatoes last year, and I am building a cinder block bed here. I'm going to take the cinder blocks off of this large bed to complete this area, and then I moved the 4x4 beds over there. I am working on getting some topsoil to fill these beds out before I start planting in them. I have not done a soil test, so the fertilizer I'm going to go with is a 10-0-0, which will be high on nitrogen, and I'm going to get some grub control down in that back bed. So let's get started. All right, so progress is afoot. Managed to get all my buckets filled with some of the leaves that was around here. Brought out a few planters and got the leaves in these buckets. Staging the area for how I plan to operate this season. I didn't touch this bed because I'm waiting for the fabric to show up before I do that, which will then free up these cinder blocks that I'm going to use in this area. So that's the work in progress on this area for this bed. I got these also filled with some leaves, and I am working on getting these also completed. All right, it is Thursday, the 27th of March. It's about 2:30 p.m. I am in the greenhouse. Took the time out to drop some seeds. So figured I'd show you what I got going on. So in this trio, I have some Swiss chard. I have cauliflower going. I got some arroz con pollo peppers, some ají dulce peppers, and some Pippin's Golden Honey here. My callaloo has already sprouted, and I have some roselle in this cup that's already sprouted. Back here we have some Creola. I think I dropped some seeds in those two cups back there, but I cannot remember what it is, so we'll see what comes up in those. Back here we have some kale. Front 6 I did broccoli. Back 5 we have some Brussels sprouts. And in this section I'm working on my herbs. So let's see, we got some catnip, rosemary, parsley, basil, chives, thyme, and cilantro. Over here I did do some carrots, And in here I have some peas. These three I managed to get some beets. And in here I got some more peppers like Scotch bonnet, habanero, cauliflower. I have a sweet pepper mix, a hot pepper mix, and some jalapenos, Hungarian yellow wax, and cayenne long slim. Add to that some serrano chilies. I got some more peas in these four. And the other two propagation tools did not survive, which I had rose cutting and the burning bush cutting, and I think a lilac cutting. They didn't survive, but the boxwoods are doing good, so I should be able to at least get 6 boxwoods out of this tote. What I end up doing is repurposing the soil to use as my potting soil mix, which was basically peat moss and perlite. So that's what I got going on. I have a few more herb seeds to drop, and so far I'm on target for what I should have sown during this timeline. All right, so managed to get my chamomile planted here, some dill, and I got one open spot that I gotta figure out what herb I'm gonna plant there. Probably sage, but I don't have any sage on hand. And one correction, this is actually California wonder peppers, so bell peppers. I think I said it was cauliflower. All right, so today I'm working on my frames to go foundation or foundationless. So I got the plastic cell wax in. These are double coated. However, they're plastic. They're not the beeswax variety. So once you get them inserted into this notch here in the frame, this is where this strip of wood is going to come in handy. I'm going to have to secure it in there with either 3 nails or 3 staples. And I already have them assembled in this deep super, and that's going to be my framed foundation. This one I'm going to be frameless, so what I'm going to use on that is I have some beeswax here. I'm going to cut them in either 3 or 4 strips. Then we're going to insert it into here. I have to give the bees some kind of working foundation to start building comb. But however, this is going to be the frameless part. We were told that the bees are not going to be here on April 11th anymore. They're going to come May 2nd, which then push back our timeline, meaning that their focus will be on building comb and securing the hive for the upcoming winter. So I wasn't expecting to get honey this year. However, their focus is going to be on getting the hive wintered in so they could survive the upcoming winter. So let me get this started and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, got my strips cut up here. So the intent is to slide one of these strips here. Then you will secure it in place. Now, had I thought about it earlier, we wouldn't have been doing this. I would have kept this on the frame and just slide it in between and it would have just slide in between this. It wouldn't have been any need to probably nail this down or staple it down. I'm going to use either melted wax or popsicle sticks to secure it in place, and then this would be where they would build out their comb. But since I took off this part, that just means I need to secure the starter strip in place. So let me get the rest of these frames filled out. Alright, so this is what the foundationless frames are going to look like. I just need to get them secured in these frames, but managed to get all 10 in here. So when they hang, they're going to hang like that. So one task checked off the list. Next, so I bought this. It's a riser. So what you do basically is, once you put on the feeder board, or I might have been correct, we're going to reverse that. We're going to put this on first, then the feeder board, and when you have that on like that, it elevates the fondant or the fallen patty and the syrup off of the frames itself. That way the bees can then come up and be fed from there. Hope that makes sense.